Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Let me fix my headphones here. Thank you so very much for tuning in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. And of course, I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock. Well, every single Monday night. I've missed a few. But we talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. If you miss any of today's episodes, just give me a couple days to get the recording up there. But then you can follow us on, just look for Bacon Bits with Master Happiness anywhere you listen to podcasts. All of them are up there. And this is already the 5th season of Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. And almost all of them are right on there, wherever you listen to podcasts. Look that up. It's, again, Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm always on a quest to bring us the industry best, and today I have a super duper special guest, a good friend of mine, Mary, that I just always have such a great time chatting with. Mary, you're not on the camera yet, Mary. You don't no need to wave just yet. Yeah. Okay. So
I see you.
That's right. So yeah, we'll all be able to see you in a moment. All right. So what I want to let you introduce yourself, Mary, but in a moment first, I just want to say, so this is part 5 of the 6-part series we've been working on for a while now, at least one episode every month, but you can go to Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen to podcasts, and find the entire grouping, or go to masterhappiness.com/live or the Master Happiness YouTube channel, find the whole grouping. This is part 5 on building your dream team. And today is a really tough one. This is an interesting one. This is about how do you build the team during tough times. You know, you've got your team. We talked a little bit about recruiting, onboarding, building communication, building, strengthening the team. But now we're talking about what happens during tough times. So I couldn't imagine someone better for someone who can handle tough times like Mary. She's a returning guest. So Mary, I threw the camera on you. Look at you. I can see you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So introduce yourself. Tell the world who you are, and tell them why I would ask you to be on here.
Oh, I don't know why you would ever ask me to be back, Marty. I don't know. I see you all the time, so I'm shocked that you want to see more.
Oh my God, I could not get enough of you. So,
so Mary Schepp, Brightway Insurance,
with a silent C in that Schepp. I keep misspelling it.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Or you can have everybody that calls me Mary Schepp.
Okay.
That's another good one. So,
but Mary Schepp.
Mary Schepp, Brightway Insurance, the Janicki Agency out of Lake Zurich, Illinois, and we have a second location now in Winter Park, Florida.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're spending a lot of time out in Florida, aren't you?
2 weeks out of every month, pretty much since January.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out there. Yeah.
Not right now. It's 97 degrees with 162% humidity.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to get warmer too.
Just a little bit.
All right. So how do they get a hold of you? Where do they find you?
BrightwayJanicki.com, 847-807-3200. I had to think about that for a second. I usually give out my number.
And insurance, what do you guys cover?
We insure everything except for health insurance. So homes, boats, cars, you live in it, drive in it, work at it, we can insure it.
I know your business insurance, etc.
Business, commercial, property, all of it.
Yeah, I always joke about this. I love this. I met Joe first, and then through Joe, I met you. I think Joe, I might have met you through Joe, but
we had crossed paths through chamber stuff just because.
Possibly.
When you're in a boatload of chambers, you can't not.
You're going to run into people, right? And everyone in any chamber in this greater area, the Northwestern Illinois, is going to know Mary. Okay.
I was going to say they're going to know Marty.
No. They know. They look at me. Hey, aren't you Mary's friend?
Yeah.
That's how they point me out.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, what I was going to say was that I met Joe some time ago when I was starting my business, and he was kind of starting Brightway too. Mm-hmm. And so we became friends very quickly. But it was interesting because I never bought insurance from him. Every time I had an insurance question, though, I was like, oh, I got a friend in the business, and I would call Joe, and he'd answer questions all the time. That's the beauty of the Janicki Agency. It was always that help first attitude, that help first mindset, that he'd go out of his way answering my questions. He even said, send me your policy, let me take a look at it and stuff like that. And then one day, I think it was after you guys have grown, Mary, you called me and you're like, hey, you're not even a client of ours, right? And so I was like, yeah, no one ever quoted me. And so you are technically my insurance agent. Yeah. But although I think it might be Piper. No, I don't know.
Who knows?
Somebody.
Who knows these things?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody.
But it's through the agency, and I'm very happy. Couldn't be happier. But so what I love about this is, Mary, you and I have shared a lot of different conversations in the past about businesses we worked for in the past, mentors, managers, supervisors who have done great jobs and a little less than great jobs.
Not so great.
Right. There you go. And so we also know that what it's like to have that first job, that second job, that growing job, the job of our dreams, the jobs of our nightmares, etc. Right.
Mhm.
And what it takes sometimes when tough times come about, when those obstacles that a company faces or an employee or a department faces that seems unsurmountable, those tough times. This is really important for a team or a company to understand and concentrate on this a little bit, because this is what makes a strong team. This is it. If you can, it's easy to go through the easy times when
Right.
everything's running smooth. That's nothing, right? But when it really gets tough and there's problems where it sometimes doesn't even look like a way out, this is when you really see the stars in your team.
You know what's funny is a lot of times people talk about that downtime.
Yeah.
And when you make it through the tough time and the team that got you through the tough time. And I have seen so many more problems in a company in the good times. Because when you've got a boatload of business and it's just coming in because of whatever, it's the season, it's the time, something happens in the world or in the economy or in the, if you're a roofer and a storm comes through and all of a sudden just the roofs, the business is just coming.
Right.
And you get in this situation where you have to hire people.
Right.
So you hire fast.
Yep.
And you get all these people and they're great when the business is great and it's
booming. Yeah.
Right. And you're just knocking business out of the park. But then all of a sudden, once it starts to slow down and you see that all of the mistakes that happen, everything that was done wrong, because
Sure.
there wasn't the time to properly train people, properly vet people. So I found more issues arise out of those good times.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah.
Than they do out of the bad times.
That does make a lot of sense. I think it's because your focus changes.
Yeah.
When everything's going smooth, you're like, oh, we can kick back a little bit and
Right.
just do things a little slower.
Yeah.
But when things are really rough, you focus on, I've got to get this done first, then I've got to get this. And I think it's funny. I was listening to a book, and one of the things the guy talked about was something that growing up, it was the same kind of mindset I had. Was when I was working and living on my own, I knew my brain seemed to work better. I was sharper when I had no money in my pocket, right? Because I was like, I need to eat. I need to
focus.
I need to pay rent, that type of thing. I need to buy gas, right? All of it because you were just ultra focused and trying to get things done.
Right.
And you knew what you had to concentrate on. When you had extra money and everything was paid for, suddenly it was like, I'll sit back and not do anything.
They got
right?
it. They
Yeah,
can handle
exactly.
it. They can do
Right.
it. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of truth that I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because that's the big difference. And so maybe what we'll do is how to handle the good times. It'll be another show, like
Another series.
the difficulty of handling
Part
the
two.
good times. Right. But let's get into this, the tough times. Really, I think it's really important for us to talk about this, is because it really is sometimes, I think, tough times are only tough by comparison to the good times.
Correct.
So if you have a bunch of people working with you and everything is good and working smoothly, but then you hit that wall, that big obstacle, and things are falling apart, that's truly tough times. And that's when you see, are they actually part of the team?
Right.
Or are they the first rat to jump off the boat, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's really important. So, Mary, I like starting out with any kind of stories. Do you have any stories that you could share that you would think that would illustrate that, of some tough times where you can immediately go, wow, I saw the difference between this person and this person?
It's funny because not that no one ever wants to bring up COVID.
No,
But
of course not. Right.
and I wasn't in insurance at that time. I was working in retail, and that kind of tough time when we don't know if we're going to be open, we don't know if we're going to be closed, we don't know if we're going to have one job, 6 jobs, if they're going to cut staff. No one knew
Right.
what was going to happen, and we just had to figure it out. So for me, those moments are absolutely fascinating because I love change. I know a lot of people hate change. I love it. I thrive on it. I think it's fun. I think it's something new. It always brings out a different side of people. To see exactly to your point, the people who went up, that's it. I'm just going to quit and go home.
Right.
Versus the others that are, how can we do this? What can we do? Like how can we not just stand here and do nothing? And to see the creativity in people come out and how can I do this? What can I do? What can, that to me was absolutely inspiring to see in the team that I had at that particular moment in time. The vast majority of them, it was like the elite of the elite, and they're just for the most part, a bunch of kids that worked at an office supply store.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're talking CEOs in some Fortune
Right.
500 company sitting at a board table somewhere trying to figure this stuff out. We're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet and make our bonus to get, the extra $200 for pizza at the end of the month.
Nice.
Like
Nice.
whatever it was. But to see those things happen, and it's the same in our office because, in insurance, it's tied to real estate.
Okay.
So it's going to have an ebb and flow. It's people always need insurance, but a large portion of that is when people buy a home, which means their policies start and end when they purchased that home, which is more prevalent in the summer months than, Christmas. People aren't
right.
Doesn't mean that people don't buy a house on Christmas. There's plenty of people who do.
Right.
Well, we close 2 days after Christmas. It happens, but so we have this ebb and flow. So to see that come through in our tougher months of the resilience of who's going to do what and who's going to come up with it, because you see the people that give up. But to be honest with you as a leader, if you're honest with yourself and you're honest with your team, you can see the writing on that wall before it comes.
You should be able to. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's difficult because you get invested in your people.
Yeah, exactly.
You always want everybody, and you want to be, at least most good people, I guess, want to be helpful to their crew. You get invested. They have a house, they have a mortgage, they have kids, they have whatever.
Right.
So if you can see that something isn't working or the hard times is going to be harder for them because they didn't do X, Y, or Z when they should have, it makes it more difficult for the difficult times.
Sure. I think, as you're doing this, as you're explaining that, I was imagining this thing that I've talked about multiple times on the show. The idea of life is this roller coaster, okay, of these incredible highs and incredible lows, right? And the difference is when you think about the four different positions, either you're going uphill, you're at the top, you're going downhill, and you're in the bottom, those four different positions. It's all about the mindset. And I think in a business, it's important for the team leaders, the owners, et cetera, to drive home this idea throughout. And that was stuff of going, when you're going up and things are gaining, let's enjoy this. This is exciting. This is thrilling, right? When you're at the top and you're like, wow, this is amazing. Remind everyone that this will pass. We're not going to stay up there, right? So let's enjoy it while we can.
Right.
And then on the way down, when things are falling apart, this is where the team starts falling apart. This is where people start jumping ship. And this is where you build a strong team and saying, look, we have done a lot preparing ourselves for this. We understand these things are going to happen. Like you just said,
right.
Real estate's going to drop in the winter time, right? So we're prepared. So what are we going to do? And then when we get to the bottom where everything seems like it's an end, you say the same thing. This will pass, right? So this is okay. Let's look upon this and go, if this is the worst, it gets not so bad because we're right around the corner when things are going to start getting better again.
Right.
And I think that's the important part for a team leader, a business owner, et cetera, to convey that to their team. Because you and I know both, there are plenty of people on the way up when things are getting better.
Right.
Oh, something's going to fall apart. It always falls apart. They get to the top. How long is this going to last? On the way down, what did I say? I knew it was going to fall apart.
Right.
And at the bottom, you see, it can't get anywhere. It's, and it's just the complete opposite.
Right.
We know we're riding that roller coaster. So why not enjoy every part of it?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And that's and it is. There's certain people I don't want to say that you can't change them because you can, but they have to change themselves. So you can't be that person that forces people to change simply because you don't want them to be that, negative,
right?
Waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
But the best you can do is like you said, you coach in such a way that helps them realize, if you change that mindset to, how can I better for tomorrow? How can I better prepare? How can I better this? And make it a moment for growth versus just, what,
Yes.
we'll weather the storm and move on and just, just suck it up for 3 months until we have business again, versus switching that mindset of going, oh, how can you make this a positive? How can you make this downtime
Yep.
or this negative or this slow season? What can we do to make this a good time, and look at it in a positive and say, okay, you know what? I might be slow and I might not be making as much money, but now I have time to clean up all of my books.
Yeah.
I have time to, learn more, learn something. I always wanted to get into this side of things or this field or this whatever, or expand my client base.
Right.
Like, take the opportunity to go, well, you've been complaining for 3 months that you don't have time to read a book. You don't have time to do this. You don't have time to come on Marty's radio show. You now finally have that time, and you take advantage of it and take that as a win versus just that constant negative that this is the downtime.
Yeah, I love this. So I want to jump into this. I want to announce the bacon right away, and then we'll because I know we're going to be talking and chatting, and we're going to be jumping from letter to letter, but I want to kind of cover these kinds of things. So those of you who are fans of the show, you know that every single show I apply a little bacon to it, because the show is called Bacon Bits, and the reason for it is that everything bacon touches becomes just a little bit better, right? And so obviously for the show, it's not about the bacon for chewing. Do you know the line?
No.
Oh man, it's the bacon for doing.
I knew it.
Wow. I just talked with Jill from before. She goes, I can't believe that no one remembers that. It's such an easy line. That's all right. All right. It's not the bacon for chewing. It's the bacon for doing.
One of these days, Marty. One of these days.
One of these days, right. So the acronym we're going to use is BACON, kind of a loose outline for the rest of the show. And this is the bacon method, the 5 steps to communicate in tough times. All right. So B is number 1. B is be transparent. Okay. Be honest and open with them. And we'll get into this a little bit more. A is acknowledge feelings. Understand that everyone who's working for you, believe it or not, they're all humans, right? C is clarify the path forward. O is open the conversation, right? It's not a lecture, it's a conversation. And N is nurture growth. All right. Because everything that's happening, we can use as an opportunity to grow.
I like it.
Okay. So I want to jump into this right away. The first one is B, the be transparent. And this is one of those things
that's hard.
That, oh my God, it's very hard. And I work with a lot of companies, and that whole thing, well, I'm not going to tell them that. I can't tell them that. Right. That kind of,
so this is where it's funny to me, because the be transparent is one of those ones where everybody says it. Yeah. Everybody says, I got open door, I got full transparency. Right. And it is almost always one of the most difficult things, because the vast majority of people can't be honest with themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's so smart.
So and that's what transparency is. It is honesty.
Yep.
So, do I look fat in these jeans? Well, I mean, no. If you were transparent and honest, you'd probably be like, you know what? You probably do. Yeah. You could have picked the size larger, and it would have fit you better. You would have looked better. Yeah. No one's going to say that.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean that you're telling somebody that they're fat, but if you were honest about it, that's how they're going to take it.
Yeah.
And it's the same in a work environment, because you do have to kind of tiptoe around that transparency so much. In a coaching environment, to be able to coach your team without having the perception that you're insulting or criticizing them constantly.
Right.
Because as a coach, that's what you're doing. You're literally finding a nice way to criticize people to help them be better.
Yeah. People think as a coach, I'm supposed to just be their
Woo-hoo,
cheerleader.
Marty, you're awesome.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I'm
Marty.
like, no, then how do we grow from that? Right.
You did this, and it's never, that's why they call it constructive criticism, because it's still criticism.
Yeah.
And in that transparency in an office space can be very difficult, because you have to be brutally honest in so many circumstances.
Right.
So it can be hard to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of times people are partially transparent because they sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
Because they're terrified for that realness.
Right. So I think I look upon this being transparent, and I go, this is how I view this, and this is the direction. is I've got to be, let's say I'm the supervisor, I'm talking to 5 people who are working for me. I've got to say, these are the things that are going on. These are the changes we're going through. This is the new things we're going to be implementing. Be honest and open. And this is why we're doing that. Okay. And then I'm going to say, now there's, as we're conversing, there's certain things that I'm going to be transparent. Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, or, I'm going to find that out.
Sure.
And then the next thing is, this is when we'll have another update. In other words, be really transparent and have this and being honest and open like that. But you're absolutely right. There are a few things that are really difficult, because you can't end up saying to the group of going, yeah, and next month I have to fire 3 of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That's just,
exactly. So everyone get a sword and it's a fight to the death.
Right.
So there are going to be those certain things that you have to say. Remember, the business is not there for you. The business is there for the stakeholders, the shareholders, right? That is number one. It's there to it has a certain mission to accomplish, to fund or to satisfy the needs and desires of the people who own the business, right? That's number one. Number two, every intelligent business owner understands that if I can get my team involved in it and passionate about it, we're going to be that much more successful.
Sure.
But one of the things that hurts that so often is that immediately lying to them or hiding things from them. Okay, because people can see that. They ask questions. You're like, yeah, it's nice out. That's not what I asked you. Right. Yeah. Hold on. I got to take this call. You still need to have those open conversations. And sometimes the conversations are going to be, the business is not doing so well.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know. We haven't made a decision. The last thing I want to do is let anyone go. Okay.
Now, how do you feel about over transparency?
Like, give me an example.
So there, in a circumstance when you have a business where it's almost like they over divulge.
Yeah.
Not everybody at Walmart needs to know every line item of the books.
Yes.
So if Walmart's having a bad year and you're just, and even at a smaller scale, when you look at the small businesses, when you over divulge and over tell everybody and you have just complete 100% transparency, and it's like, all right, well, we have $3 this month and whatever. And you run that risk of
people
discouraging
running.
and having your team disengage, because it's like, well, why do I care if they're going to fail? Like I find that a lot of times people do that, where they feel that through the effort of transparency, they lay it all out there. Like, here's my diary, read it, just open it up, go through it, everybody take it home, and I
think I like that a lot, and I love. That's why I wanted you to give me an example so I could really grasp it. And you're absolutely right. I think there is something to be said about being transparent about certain things that are important to that person.
Relevant.
That's the word I was looking for. So perfect. The things that are relevant to that person. And now keep in mind, what we're talking about is when we're going through tough times.
Right.
Okay. And that means the employees know we're going through tough times. Like let's say it's a mom and pop grocery store, and they're like, nobody's coming in here. Right. And the bagger is standing there going, I'm just standing here, not doing anything. How many times can I mop the floor? Right. And so we have to then talk about, we are going through tough times. This is our plan. This is what we're thinking. And we'll get into this more as we jump later when we talk about having open conversations with them. But I think the worst part is it's tough times, and me, the employee, going, I think I don't know what's happening here.
Sure.
And then you get radio silence. Right. That's the worst. Right. Because
no, it's great.
Right. Everything's great.
Keep mopping.
Right. We're doing wonderful. This is, so because then there's all this uncertainty built up inside me. And then who do I have to talk to? I got the other employees, and I'm whispering to them, what do you think's happening? I mean, I've never had to do this. This is falling
And then the
apart.
telephone game starts, and the next thing you know, someone's got the building on fire. And
and everyone's quitting and getting another job somewhere, right? Because they don't know what's going to happen. So I think you've got to get ahead of the the mutiny.
The gossip.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to be involved in that. And I think, the more you get people involved in
Sure.
this and their conversations, it does have a tendency to eliminate or lower the amount of
Oh,
gossip
yes.
when they're involved in it.
I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
So we're almost down to the bottom of the hour already, Mary. Isn't
Oh
it
my goodness.
amazing how fast this
We,
goes?
we got a lot
That's
of bacon to go through.
I know. Yes, we do. So I want to jump into this. The A, let's see. We'll probably jump into this a little bit and then come back to it. A is acknowledge feelings. Okay. And so I think this is really important because when
Are you going to make me talk about my feelings?
no, I'm not going to talk about your feelings. We only have a half an hour left.
Just
Yeah,
checking.
we only have half an hour left, right? So acknowledging feelings with talking to these employees and trying to get them to talk about how they're feeling.
Mhm.
Are they scared? Are they feeling vulnerable? Are they feeling less than necessary?
Are they still happy? Are they
Yeah.
engaged? Are they, yeah,
Yeah.
all of the above. It's a hard conversation to have because I feel, at least in my experience, that most jobs that people have,
Yeah.
their leaders, their coaches, their superiors don't go into that.
No,
They,
not at
they
all.
don't, so they don't experience that. So it's that same old where so many people are waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Yep.
It's like, well, why do you want to know how of course
Yeah.
I'm happy. Sure, I'm happy. Of course I'm
Right.
happy. Like, I
Oh.
love my job. No, I understand. You're having rough times right now. It's great. No, I love my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a difficult conversation to have if you don't have it all the time in your normal
Yes.
conversations. And that's the part about the hard times is you have to be consistent all the time.
Yes.
You can't just have these conversations
Oh.
when the pendulum is on the low end.
Right. Right.
You have to have that open dialogue on a constant basis with your entire staff and have them involved, to whatever is relevant to their position in the team and so on.
Right. Right.
Because otherwise you're coming up to someone when it's the worst time in the company and you're like, so how are you feeling about all
Yeah.
this? Like, you heard a lot today.
Yes. Yes.
And it does. So I feel like most people only do that when it's that one time. And
Yeah.
do a little bit more.
Right. So I always tell companies that part of your ongoing training, part of these conversations has got to be worst case scenario training.
Right.
Okay. It's so important to go, what happens if this happens? What happens if we just get flooded with business?
Right.
What happens if business dries up? What about this? How are you going to handle this? How do you do this? And you continue to do that because then you've rehearsed it in your head over and over again. And especially when you push it to the point, that's why it's called worst case scenario.
Right.
That rarely happens like that.
Right.
Okay. But by preparing them for the absurdly, what's the word I'm looking at? That there's too many B's in that word. An enormous amount of word.
Exuberant. I guess
exactly.
exuberant. I can't say.
A whole bunch of bad. All right. When you lots and lots, right? When you train on that amount, and then suddenly you're like, wow, we've had some really rough days, but it's nothing compared to what we were training for, what we were imagining could happen.
And your worst case is not just bad.
Yeah. No,
because your worst case can't. And I've had this conversation recently with my staff. Like, when your worst case comes through, like, you think you're busy, but what happens if the heavens opened up and you got 62 clients that called in today, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to make my like half a year in 1 week, and
they all want answers tomorrow.
Right. You either lose business or you have a game plan.
Right.
What would I do in that situation? And always assume that you're going to be the best and that day is going to happen tomorrow so that you're prepared for that day.
Yeah. I like how you said it exactly. The worst case scenario is not always a bad thing, or it's not always viewed as a bad thing. I'm working with this restaurant, right? And they're fairly new and they're getting their menus straight. They're getting their staff straight. And I said, can you imagine if you suddenly got a line out the door of people, 20, 30 people waiting to get in? He goes, oh my God, that'd be amazing. I'm like, no,
that'd be worst case.
Because suddenly people would be standing there going, I'm not waiting any longer, leaving. And now you get a plethora, another good word there, a plethora of bad reviews, right? Because everyone's like, oh my God, it was awful. They can't even handle the crowd, right? And so instead, grow at the proper rate. But understand things like that, surges will happen, as well as, customers will drop off.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a momentary break here, if you don't mind,
Yep.
and we're going to come right back. Thank you so much for tuning into this first half of Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm here with my good friend, Mary Schepp. All right. We're talking about how to build your dream team during tough times. So please hold on. And we're back. Thank you so very much for staying tuned with us. You're listening to 98.3 FM The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And with me today, I have Mary Schepp, an absolute doll, an amazing person who knows everything about motivating her team during tough times. And that's what we're talking about. Mary, I love that. The big
so
grin.
nice on the radio. So
About.
nice on the
I
radio.
am always like this.
Sure.
Hey, Mary, you know what? I'm
Sure.
going to take a moment. I'm going to throw it back to you. Tell us a little bit about this event coming up about the Dunka Joe.
Oh my God, I am ridiculously excited about.
Oh,
the Dunka
me
Joe.
too. Me too.
So, as you know personally, because
Yes.
you're also friends with what I call one of my Joes, because I
Yes.
have many Joes.
Yes.
He's one of my best friends. He's my business partner, and I genuinely love the man. He's become one of my best friends, and I also want to punch him in the throat like 4 times a day,
Definitely.
at a minimum,
Definitely.
at a bare
Yes.
minimum. And someone I know had a dunk tank, and they were doing a dunk tank to raise charity, blah blah blah, and it was fun, and this, that, and the other. You got to dunk like the fireman and the sheriff and
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, you know how many people would pay money to dunk you, Joe? This would be fantastic. Fast forward, didn't think anything of it. We're just, tongue in cheek. And my husband said something that, like, do you want a cup of coffee? Something that
Right.
doesn't even sound like it at
Yeah.
all, but in
Yeah.
my brain, I heard Dunka Joe. And I was like, oh my God. And it just clicked. And I was like, I got to do this event. And now we're nominating 6 different Joes that are
Nice.
business owners to help. So the community that loves to hate those people and hates to love them will pay
Beautiful.
to dunk them.
Love it.
and all
Love
the money
it.
goes to Veterans Path for Hope.
That's a great and incredible.
So it's like a G.I. Joe, Dunk a
Yeah.
Joe, have a fun, and I
Yeah.
had to throw softballs to throw Joe in a big giant
I
bucket of ice cold water.
don't tell him it's ice cold.
Oh no, I
yet.
promised it was
Okay.
going to be warm. I told him I'd find a way to make it warm, and it's not going to be warm.
Right. So one of the things you should think about is, just because I know where you're going with, instead of water, we should put some like Folgers crystals in there. Make it a Joe dumping into a cup of Joe. Oh, they don't love that.
A little self tan.
That's right.
Oh,
All right. And so wait. So when is the date? How do they find
July.
out? Yeah.
It's July 25th from 2 to 6 at Buffalo Creek Brewing
In Long Grove.
Yep.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. So let's jump back into this. So far what we talked a little bit about were how do we help motivate our team during tough times? And the bacon today was be transparent. Share the relevant information with those employees. Be honest and open. Even tell them there's certain things I can't tell you. It's better to tell them that than to be quiet and ghost them. Okay. A is acknowledge their feelings. They could be worried. It'd be great to be able to say, look, I understand we're going through tough times, and I'm sure some of you are imagining this is going to in fact affect your employment. I understand you would feel that way. And then continue that conversation. Acknowledge who they are. Okay. Because this is how you build that stronger team. C is going to be clarify the path forward. Okay.
That one's important.
You love this.
It is. It's so easy to think that you've been clear in your instructions.
Oh my God. Right.
Marty, can you do me a favor and clean the bathroom?
Yeah. That's so vague.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like, all right, that's clear. That and one would argue that the common sense of that says that you should do this. The common sense is to you. If nobody, and I say it a million times, if nobody ever taught you what 1 + 1 is, then it's not common sense to you.
Correct.
It's 2.
Yeah.
So when someone says common sense to go clean the bathroom, how do you clean the bathroom? Because it's going to be completely different for me
Yep.
than somebody who cleans professionally.
And not to mention, you didn't give me a deadline.
Right.
Yeah.
So this week, next week, sometime before you die, like the day before you quit, what are those instructions? And inevitably, you're always wrong. And what you thought you communicated was not clear. And it's very difficult to get into the habit as a leader to say, hey, Marty, I would like you to clean the bathroom.
Right.
To, I would like you to use the cleaning supplies that are in the closet over in the hallway. And please, can you do it before 1 o'clock today? Do you understand
exactly
what I'm asking of you? And to be that concise and to follow it up with do you understand what I'm asking?
Perfect. Yep.
Because it is almost 99% of the time is just, can you go put that away for me? Can you put that up? Can you do this? Can you call this client?
Right. Yeah.
And the hardest one, and at least in our industry, is, Marty, can you call this client back real quick and tell them this?
Right.
So you go and call that client back and tell them that, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I thought might have been, it's yours now. Can you tell them that? And
right.
Send them the documents.
That's why it's
and buy the policy. And like now it is your client.
Right.
And then a week goes by. I go, wait a minute. So how come why didn't that policy get done? See, you told me to call them back. You didn't tell me to take the client.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think you're absolutely right. And so it was interesting. Earlier today, I was just having a very similar conversation on this. And I watched somebody give someone an instruction and they left. And I said, you really got to clarify these three things. Mm-hmm. First off, clarify exactly what you want them to do. You could even go as far as to say success looks like this. Right. Failure looks like this. In other words, really clarify. This is what we're looking for. Number two is clarify exactly who owns it.
Sure.
Right. It's not just, I want you to do it. You own it. This project, it's on your shoulders. You need help, get help, but it's your project.
Right.
Make that perfectly clear. And then the third one is always the deadline. And I need you to do this within the next 15 minutes. I need you before you leave today, whatever it is, because you don't want any ambiguity. You don't want them to go, oh, I didn't know you needed that now.
Right.
I didn't.
Or today.
Right. I didn't know. So move that over there. I didn't know you meant, and actually put it away. I just moved it over there.
Sure.
Right. So there's all kinds of stuff like that. You've got to be really, really clear and stop assuming. We always assume everything. And I loved your analogy. If we just figure, well, I know what 1 + 1 is, sure. Right? And so I assume everyone knows what 1 + 1 is. But sometimes 1 + 1 is equal to 1. Right?
Or 9.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, there you go. No, because I just learned this. It was really interesting about there's 2 piles of laundry. 1 pile plus 1 pile. Put it together, I have 1 pile, right? So 1 + 1 sometimes equals 1. All right. So yes. Yeah. So even something as
more bacon knowledge for you.
Even something as simple as we all understand what 1 + 1 is. Sometimes you got to ask clarifying questions, right?
My favorite is always peanut butter and jelly. Like what goes best with jelly? And a lot of people will say peanut butter.
Yeah.
If you go to the other side of the world where children don't eat peanut butter, they've never had it. They've never experienced it. It's not a thing there.
Right.
So to them, it's not common sense. You ask them, what you put on toast, what you put on a sandwich with jelly, what you dip celery with, and they're looking at you like, why would you do it? What are you doing? Why would you do any of that?
Right.
Because they've never had it. Yeah. To them, it's not common sense.
And I'm thinking you meant petroleum jelly, which I would never put peanut butter with. So you never know. You never know. All right.
I don't know what you're doing with the petroleum jelly. I don't know why you have petroleum jelly. All right, another show.
Anyway, that's a whole other show. All right, so we've gone through the BA and the CO is open the conversation. And I think what we have to drive home, what I mean by open the conversation, is it is just that. It is not a lecture. Mm-hmm. All right, this is not a PowerPoint that everyone sits there quietly and then leaves. It's not a pamphlet we're handing out to them. It's a conversation. We need to get give and take because I can't acknowledge your feelings unless I hear from you. I've got to engage with you. I can't make sure I clarify the path forward unless I hear back from you that you're saying, so you need me to do this, right?
Right.
So opening the conversation. Let me ask you this, Mary, how do you, because I've watched you do this and you're very good at this. So you're going to be like, all right, I can't wait for this question. All right. No, how do you teach people how to open the conversation? Because you have a lot of people who have to talk to clients, right? So how do you teach them that idea of I'm not giving you orders, I'm not giving you answers before I know the questions?
It's difficult because when people, especially when you have issues with confidence or you're not secure in your knowledge base of what you're talking about, even if you are knowledgeable about it, everybody's their own worst critic.
Yes.
And even from that open dialogue conversation of trying to get somebody to open up to speak to you, how many times have you had a conversation with an employee? You're like, so, what is your opinion about this? Or how do you think that we could do this better? Or, do you have any thoughts on what we can do? And it's just crickets.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there staring at you and they just freeze and don't know They don't even know how to communicate.
Right.
And to have to, you have both sides. You have the people that just won't shut up and they have 8 million opinions and you can never get them to stop. And you have
Right.
the other ones that won't give you anything to get them to focus and try and see it from a different perspective, whether it's opening up in a meeting with your leaders to have those conversations, to say how you feel the business could be better or changed or what you see the problems are, and have the confidence to do that. It is a two-way street. Unfortunately, it's not there in a lot of circumstances. In the same with talking to clients, to be honest, I always take sales out of all of it.
Okay.
Which is weird to some, because my job is sales.
Right.
And my job has been sales for the better part of 30 years.
Okay.
Because before this, I was in mortgage. So, I mean, I've been selling something in real estate in one shape or the other. So, but when you take sales out of it, and it's a matter of fact conversation to share your knowledge.
Okay. Sure.
When you have that perspective of, I don't have to sell Marty a policy. I don't have to sell him a mortgage. I don't have to sell him anything. I don't have to sell him a lock set. I'm going to educate you on what I have. I'm going to share my knowledge with you. It takes the fear and the anxiety that I'm looking for something from you.
Right.
Versus I'm giving you something for free.
Yeah. And asking for nothing in return.
And the truth of the matter is, when you're genuine about that perspective and that initiative, chances are Marty's going to go, you know what, that's actually fantastic. I want to go with that, because they're going to sense that genuine perspective of it. So it's usually the approach that I take, is to try and get people to stop wanting something out of that conversation.
Gotcha.
Versus giving something.
Now, to make sure that we're staying on track about tough conversations, this whole idea, they're tough conversations during tough times. This is the thing, is that I find that a lot of people, they're always making an excuse not to have the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Team leaders, again, the owners of businesses, they're like, I'm always telling you got to have regular conversations with your people. Yeah, I'll get to that. I passed them in the hall. We said hi. Everything's fine, right? And so they get there going, we don't need any conversations. Things are wonderful, right? Everything's okay. And then when things are bad, we don't have time for these conversations. We've got to fix what's broken.
Right.
And I go, I wish I could say, no, that's the time that the conversations are most important, but that's not necessarily true, because it's got to be consistency.
Right.
I'll tell you, if I worked at a place and we never talked, like the boss never talked to me, and then all of a sudden,
hey, Marty, can you come into the office?
Right.
I'm getting fired.
Or during tough times, right? They address me. I'm like, oh, this is it. Exactly. But what we do is, that's why we have to have these conversations consistently. Okay. And be able to talk about the things we talked about here. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you what's going on. I want you to be part of our growth, our evolution. I want you to be part of this. I want you to be proud about what you do. I want to hear your opinions, right? I want to understand the feelings that you're having all the times. And you have to have those conversations regularly. I worked with somebody that I do this thing that I call the bacon meeting, which is the big picture, the action steps, conflicts, concerns, and solutions, then the other stuff outside, and then finally a notable win, right? And I remember I was working with a company, new hire comes in, I start having the conversation, she's nodding her head going, yeah, I know what you're doing. And I go, yeah, I explained what I'm doing. She goes, no. She goes, I studied psychology, I know what you're doing. I'm like, wow, because you are digging way deeper into this, right? And I said, look, we want you to be happy, because then you will create happy customers and everyone will prosper. Go ahead. Keep asking questions. And I was like, what do you think I'm doing?
Right.
And she was so defensive, because like you had said, those first couple times, why are you talking to me? Why are you asking me these questions? It's scary. Eventually, I would just keep coming back all the time and ask the same questions over and over again. And I remember the breakthrough moment I had with her, and it was amazing. Like how she broke down, I mean, teared up and everything, and just needed to share. She was like, no one ever asks me these things. Right. And she goes, and so you could see that's why she was so apprehensive. Okay. And so it's so important to have those conversations just regularly.
Not only that, sometimes there's no answer.
No.
Like how I had said that, sometimes you have someone that you're talking to and you're asking them how they're feeling or what their opinion is or how they're, they might not have the experience yet to have the knowledge and tenure to have an answer.
Yeah.
They just don't know. Like, I don't know how I would change this. I don't like you
Yeah.
just taught me how to do this.
Right,
How am I going
right.
to know how to do it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Why are you angry that I don't know? I feel anxious because I don't have an answer for you on how to tell the
Nice.
like this doesn't make any sense to me. And it's you get those answers as you grow and as you have a better base and have a reference point, like you said, the bad with the good. If you've only had the good or you've
Oh.
only ever had the bad, and you ask someone like, well,
Yep.
how do you think that we can make this better? I don't know. It's been crap since I got here. So I don't know how to make it or it's only ever been good. I don't know what to do in the bad time because I haven't experienced that.
Right. Right.
I'm kind of relying on you to tell me that side of things.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's just not an answer and you have to kind of bookmark that for another conversation.
I hear you. Right. Right. So I think it's really important along with those conversations, us, constantly digging into those little things. I mean, consistency is very important.
Yeah.
I had another great thought and then it just left me. So we should talk more.
That is
It'll
my
come
life.
back. It'll come back. But this idea of right from the very beginning, it starts with the interview process and you talk about that, but then you have to be able to say, we're going to have these conversations regularly because I do want to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell people going, you know what? Especially somebody who's like, I don't know what, I have no idea. I'm not involved in that area. What am I supposed to do? You go, that's exactly why I want your opinion, is because I need someone outside of it. I need somebody who's not so connected to it. I need an opinion. Sometimes, the whole, I can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
So I need someone like you to say, well, what about this simple thing?
And not only that, I mean, when you think of a coach or a leader, it's, I might have been in this position, take Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
She started without any money.
Yep.
She had poverty. She experienced poverty. She experienced all of those things. But who she is now, she can remember her life when she was younger.
Yep.
But she said it in an interview a long time ago that I'm not that person and I haven't been that person for so long. That perspective is no longer mine. I remember having that experience.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you how much a loaf of bread is at the grocery store. Like I'm blessed enough to have what I have.
Yep.
And I know that there was that time in my life. And it's the same as a leader where you go, I've been a leader coaching a team for so long. I know what it's like to be the new hire that doesn't know how to answer the phones or, transfer calls or type a keyboard or whatever it is. So I can recall being there.
Yeah.
And the stress and the hardship and the anxiety. But I'm 30 years removed from that. Like I get the concept, but I kind of need you. And the times are different. Everything is different.
What's another thing I'm going to touch on really quick is the other thing is that you're right. You have to put yourself in their shoes as much as you possibly can.
Right.
Because I've also seen businesses, hey, the owner goes, we're going to all have to tighten our belts. Things are going to get really tough. And blah, blah, blah. In fact, I had to cancel my trip to Fiji. Right. And you're like going, and the person's like, and I've been eating peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
and I'm going, really? Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll give up a couple of meals so you can still go to Fiji. Right. And so you do have to put it in perspective. Right.
I was hoping you were going to say Puerto Rico.
No.
And for those that don't know, my business partner just went to Puerto Rico. So that would have been hilarious.
I almost had to cancel my trip to Puerto Rico. There. Anyway, all right. So I want to jump into this because we're getting close to the end of the hour here, and that's N is nurture growth. And I think what it comes down to with me is that we are during those conversations we're having, during the good times and the bad times, continue to ask, what have you learned from this?
Mm-hmm.
If things are going well, you still got to ask, what have you learned from this? Things are going terrible. What have you learned from this? I think it's important for us, for the business to grow, is to help every single part of the business, every employee, every leader, every supervisor, manager, whatever. We have to get everyone growing together.
Right.
If anyone is stagnant, that is holding us down. So all the time when we're nurturing our group, it's we've got to be asking, so what did you just learn from what just happened? We landed a bunch of clients, 600 clients just called in. What did we learn from that? everything dried up. What did we learn from
Right.
that? Yeah.
And the one thing that I feel that is most neglected is the the consistency of asking if their goals have changed.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I love that.
Because someone will come in and, for instance, in our industry, if they came in and said, I want to own my own agency.
Yep.
And through the course of those ups and downs, the good times, the bad times, and the extremes and the mellow, even keel kind of places, you get that experience to see behind the curtain a little bit.
Yep.
And or just, if you say that you want to do commercial insurance and then you do your first commercial policy and you're like,
I
nope,
don't like this. Right.
I want to go back to whatever I was doing.
Sure.
Or I don't like this at all. Like, I love you guys. It's great. I want to be here, but to have the courage to say, you know what, this isn't my place.
Right.
It is a hard thing to do, but as a leader, you have to ask, have your goals changed? And are you still engaged?
Right.
And if your goals have pivoted, how can I nurture that path?
Right.
Maybe you did say, okay, well, now I just did 62,000 home policies and I would like to switch and not do home policies anymore. Can we do commercial or can I?
So it goes back to that same thing. So what did you learn?
Right.
And because I learned something, my goals have changed. My desires have changed. Right. Yeah. I think it's really important. So we're almost at the top of the hour here. We're almost done. It's great. I think when I'm with you, Mary, and I'm not even lying, I think the hour goes even quicker.
Oh.
Like I'm thinking when I'm looking at the camera talking, you're over there turning the minute hand or something, right? So to kind of sum the whole thing up is what we looked at today was when times are tough, we're going to be transparent with our people. A is acknowledge their feelings. C is clarify the path forward, telling them where we're going to go. O is open conversation so that they feel like they're part of this. This is not just affecting them. They are affecting the outcome. And then N is nurture growth, and that ties the whole thing together. The common mistakes that we can make during tough times are really simple. Going silent and just not speaking, because then immediately everyone is spooked. They get scared. Toxic positivity, all right, which sometimes is my middle name, all right, is this idea. Don't go overboard on this idea, all right. The one-way communication, it shouldn't just be turned into lectures, okay. And the other thing that you brought up early was forgetting to follow up. We talked about these things. We got to have another conversation right away, especially I think during the tough times, the conversation's got to come closer together. During the good times, we still have them, but during the tough times, we got to be conversing on a regular basis so everyone understands what's going on. So, Mary, we're closing off. I'm putting it back onto you. What have you learned here? What's your big takeaway that you'd like to share with everyone?
I've learned that I need to memorize your tagline for all the times that you invite me back on your show.
Beautiful.
I learned that I love being on the radio with you.
Yeah.
I enjoy our conversations immensely, and it's funny because you you equate these things to your leadership skills and your business skills, and I think people just forget to have those conversations in real life.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you had that? You and I had lunch not too long ago, and you think like, oh my gosh, how come we don't do this more often? Like, we really should do this more often.
Yes.
And you get busy in life. And you realize that so much of your creativity and so much of your inspiration comes from the people around you.
Yes.
And when you get involved in your life and you get in this tunnel, it's very easy to forget to have those relationships and those conversations to be inspired, because that's how you get trapped. And people don't realize, you think you get trapped because you have to pay your bills, you have to do whatever. You don't ever step outside the line.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you run that risk, and you have to force yourself to make those choices. Put it on your schedule, put it on your calendar, do whatever you need to do. And it's the same with your team. Part of the reason that you hit so many of those downturns is that lack of consistency.
Right.
If you're not having the conversations with people to see if their goals have changed, if they have changed, if they're still engaged, and all that stuff, then that's how you get blindsided by those downturns.
Right.
Because your team's disengaged.
Yeah, I just I'm working with a not-for-profit, and I just went through this whole thing and said, imagine I'm only going to be with you for 6 more months.
Right.
That's it. I'm done. 6 more months and I'm leaving. what do you want me to do? What do you need me to
Right.
do in those 6 months? And then immediately it's that whole, wait, are you leaving? I go, no, I'm not leaving. But
Right.
imagine that so that we can concentrate. We can focus on
Right.
what's most important, right? And I go, and if we don't, I am leaving. Right? All right. All right. Well, Mary, thank you very much. We're at the top of the hour. I want to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so very much for tuning into Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Give me, like I said, a couple of days and you'll find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. This is an episode you'll want to start over and listen to it over and over and over again. You'll want to play it for the kids to help them go to sleep at night. Okay. Again, Mary, thank you so much. This has been Mary Schepp with Brightway Insurance. You can just find her anywhere. Just ask people, hey, do you know Mary? They'll point you in the right direction. So again, everyone, thank you so very, very much.